Tonight, helicopters, water bombers, and firefighters are holding a fire in Churchill Falls. That story, and
get your Tims, use the washroom, and you're good to go.
The province's fast charging network is about to get a boost. More from NL Hydro on its
The
plans
timeline for the new
vehicles.
school might not be the story for some people, but it certainly is the story for me because that's what impacts my children directly.
Breaking ground on a new school in St. John's. Why parents say progress is too slow.
So there's a lot of pedal power here in Pippi Park this afternoon. This is a St. John's short course mountain bike race. A bit of mayhem here. This is the start line. Jeremy Eaton, I'm live in the park. I can tell you all about it coming up.
You're all in the...
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Heather Gillis, filling in for Carolyn Stokes. Water bombers and ground crews continue to fight a wildfire in Churchill Falls. The fire is now considered under control. It's burned about 1/4 of a hectare so far. That's about half the size of a soccer field. Officials say it's being held for the moment, and operations at Churchill Falls are continuing as normal. The head of Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro says this fire stirs up many emotions for people in the company town. It experienced a wildfire just last month. Residents were also forced to flee for 2 weeks last summer due to raging wildfire.
We were able to begin immediately working on that fire with our own helicopters. Government also sent a water bomber, and today they have ground staff and that are working in the area as well. And what the ground staff will do is they'll walk around the forest essentially and look for hot spots and help us deal with that. You know, we had really good progress between yesterday and today, and hopefully we'll have a good outcome through the course of the day.
I'm wondering if the continuing wildfire problems in Labrador give Hydro any reason to reconsider whether it's a good idea to build more hydro projects in Labrador.
I have no concerns about wildfires as it relates to choosing to proceed with additional resources in Labrador. The projects in Labrador that we're contemplating in the MOU are really the best ones, I would argue, in North America. And when we need more electricity, I think these are ones that we need to lean into and ensure that we provide for the best outcome for those possible, but also not be ignorant to those risks that you've just mentioned, the wildfires, and do everything we can to ensure that we work very closely with our government as well as across the country to manage those.
The province broke ground on a new school in St. John's today. The new facility in Kenmount Terrace will have space for kids from pre-kindergarten up to grade 7. Parents and students say it's desperately needed. The school's expected opening in September of 2026 has hit a snag, and that's not sitting well with parents.
Very pleased to announce that a contract has been awarded to Olympic Construction for $41.9 million for the new Kenmount Terrace School, and work to build the new facility begins today.
We're going to do everything we possibly can to reduce the timeline, work with the proponent, work with the City of St. John's. There is traffic concerns that we want to make sure that are looked after. There's all options around the table to try to find better ways to make this facility open as fast as it can. 18 months is a short time frame to do a school anyway of this magnitude. We're excited about the investment that we're making here today.
If the time frame is put on something, then that becomes a story, but it shouldn't become the story. When the announcement was made, the intent was 18 months. But a project like this requires a due diligence, and after the announcement was made, there was consultations ongoing, and sometimes there's unknowns. That consultations can sometimes prove to be unknowns, and then that in itself delays the 18 months.
The timeline for the new school might not be the story for some people, but it certainly is the story for me because that's what impacts my children directly. I mean, the biggest concern at Leary's Brook Junior High that I have at the moment is the capacity issue. The school is well over the capacity that it can comfortably accommodate. Going into the coming school year in September, it's expected that the student enrollment will be close to 600. That's the highest capacity that there has been at this school.
The classrooms at Larkall Academy, there's many in the basement that were never intended to be classrooms. They are below the gymnasium. It's not a great learning space, so although there's wonderful staff there and they're having a good experience, it makes parents wonder if the educational experience is exactly what others are having at other schools. So we're worried about that. The math is just not mathing for this new school when we're considering, there's already approximately 1,000 students in Larry's Brook Junior High, combined with Larkall Academy. So if we're going to put them in this new school, even without the grade 8s, we're almost at 1,000 between those two schools right now. So you take out the grade 8s and we're still probably at max capacity. So that doesn't include the growth that we're expected to happen.
Staying with schools, demand for speech-language pathology in the education system is increasing, while wait lists for treatment in the public health care system is also growing. However, as Here and Now's Jenna Head reports, the number of workers who can treat those children is stagnant.
Across Newfoundland and Labrador's 4 healthcare zones, 70 speech-language pathologists, or SLPs, are on a full-time basis, serving both adults and children under the age of 5. In eastern Newfoundland, about 6 more SLPs are working casually, but none of them are easy to see. Wait times range from 30 days to 14 months for an initial assessment, depending on location, and demand isn't slowing down.
In my work as a clinical speech-language pathologist over the past 30 years, I can say that I have most certainly seen the complexity of speech and language disorders and the referrals that are made to us increase dramatically. So that, of course, requires more time, more resources, and more intensity of service.
But in a statement from the union representing SLPs who work for NL Health Services, they say the number of SLPs hasn't changed in 15 years.
The Association of Allied Health Professionals says the province is aware of the issue. They have submitted multiple requests for increased staffing to no response. But the province says it does have jobs available, it's just no one is applying.
In other zones outside of Eastern Zone, I would like to point out that there are at least 5 positions that have been posted in other areas, other zones throughout Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services that we haven't been able to fill. One of those positions has been posted since 2023, and it's in place with incentives in place for this position as we are really actively trying to fill those positions.
In the meantime, Half Yard doesn't want people to feel like there's no point in even trying to join a wait list.
I don't want the message to be that the wait times are too long, and I would really, encourage parents who have any concerns with their speech and language development to get that referral in as soon as possible.
The sooner is better, because once a child starts kindergarten, NL Health Services passes their treatment onto the school system, and the number of SLPs drops even more for that age group, just 45 across the province to serve 200 schools, 20 of which work on the Avalon Peninsula, and it's been this way for 30 years.
The difficulty is in that, though, the caseloads are high. And you might have a position filled, but the caseloads are through the roof. We're finding in the urban areas people can't get truly the support they need, but when you're talking rural and you have an SLP that's spread over such a big area, once weather moves in, once other things interfere, transportation and so on, it could be days, weeks and months before a young person can be seen, especially when they're receiving direct therapy. So it's very worrisome.
Both the NLTA and the Allied Health Professionals are calling on the province to invest more into pediatric SLP services and to hire more professionals in the schools and healthcare system. For now, they say jobs are available. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
Meanwhile, the head of the province's largest union is pleased to see some construction begin on the new penitentiary in St. John's. NAPE represents corrections officers working in Her Majesty's Penitentiary. Union President Jerry Earle says breaking ground on a new facility is a significant step forward. Government first announced a replacement for HMP in 2019, but after delays, it now says the new facility should be complete in 2029.
I applaud the government for making this step. I know it's been a long time coming. There was opportunities in the past when this should have happened. And again, I know we're still talking about 2029, And again, I always say this is not one that's going to score a lot of brownie points for politicians, but it is one that is absolutely necessary, especially for the staff that works there. I always say those that are incarcerated have to serve 2 years. Our officers and healthcare staff work 25 and 30 years. The majority of Newfoundlanders and Labradors haven't seen the inside of HMP. I've seen it once, and I know what the staff working there. And then you also have got to think about those that are incarcerated. The facility would be better resourced, a new facility. They'd be able to provide better programming, better mental health supports, and hopefully some of those that are incarcerated would come out much better than they go in.
NL Hydro is taking steps to electrify the province's highways. The Crown Corporation held its annual general meeting in St. John's today, and they say more people are plugging in. Here and Now's Jenna Head reports.
Tesla might have its controversies, but that hasn't stopped Newfoundlanders and Labradorians from using more electric and hybrid vehicles. According to NL Hydro CEO Jennifer Williams, in 2024, Hydro saw a jump in people opting for a plug instead of a pump.
In 2024, we saw a 40% increase in the number of charging sessions at our fast charging sessions compared to 2023, a 40% increase.
Electrification is a priority for NL Hydro, and starting in 2025, you're going to see more of these on the Trans-Canada Highway. 11 of them, and they're going to be ultra fast.
That means you won't have to wait an hour for your car to charge. With the new chargers, Williams says it should take as little as 20 minutes.
Get your Tims, use the washroom, and you're good to go.
With more chargers being installed and more people using them, Hydro expects to continue adding more infrastructure for electric vehicles across the province.
There's a fallacy, I think, that some folks think that the demand is really dropping off, but we are seeing increased demand, and we have the ability to put in charging infrastructure, and that's exactly what we're doing.
While Hydro did not provide a full list of where all the new ultra-fast charging stations will go, Williams did say one of them will be placed in Conn River. And looking ahead, Williams expects to continue seeing more drivers using Hydro's charging stations in the future. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
According to Memorial University, more than a garbage truck's worth of plastic enters the world's oceans every minute. Dr. Alice Zhu has been closely looking at the problem by studying sea turtles.
Plastic is everywhere. It has ended up in the ocean, in freshwater environments, on land, and the fish are eating it, humans are eating it, we're finding it in human blood, and it's a huge topic of major concern that we need to care more about. Roughly 80% of plastic inputs are terrestrial and 20% are marine. So the marine sources can include like fishing gear, pellet spills from ships, whereas the terrestrial sources are, what we commonly think of like waste and litter, like overflowing trash cans. I see that very often. They just blow into the environment, and then that ends up in rivers, and then rivers are conduits of plastic that eventually lead to the ocean. I like to think of marine animals as one piece of the puzzle of where plastic ends up in the ocean. And they're an important piece of the puzzle, which is why we did this study to understand how much plastic is stored in sea turtle stomachs. A green turtle can contain up to 26 grams of plastic, which is the equivalent weight of 10 ping pong balls. The more plastic it eats, the more likely that it's going to succumb to, starvation, or if you have sharp plastics in the gut, it can perforate the gut and lead to internal bleeding, which can also lead to death. Sea turtles have become basically little pockets of plastic swimming around in the ocean now, and this is a reality that we should not willingly accept. We've heard of plastic ending up on the bottom of the ocean, on the surface, but now that they're in animals, and we find that this amount has not really changed over the years, which means that it's a permanent thing. It really is a sobering reality, and we need to reduce the amount of plastic ending up in the ocean.
Well, temperatures today were quite warm out there, low to mid 20s in most cases, with the exception of the south coast, 13 to 15 degrees. Even up across Labrador, getting into some teen temperatures, but still sitting in the single digits for the Makkovik area. As we head through tonight, where you can expect some rain to move back in for Labrador. It'll start in the west and then spread across the Big Land as we head through tomorrow, even the potential for a few thunderstorms. We'll see a few showers as well tomorrow across the island, and then more rain. I'll get into the details coming up a little later.
Welcome back to Here and Now. For the fourth Tuesday in a row, cyclists have lined up on a course in the capital city. And tonight is the final race in the St. John's short track mountain bike race. So this is right up our Jeremy Eaton's alley, and he's standing by tonight. So we've got Jeremy here, and he's reporting from Pippi Park tonight. How goes Battle of the Bikes, Jeremy?
There's a lot of activity happening here. There's a lot of young people on bikes. There's a lot of bike horns, a lot of activity. But we're gonna talk to a couple people real quick. Angela, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Now, I don't know, Danny, can you find William there in the blue helmet? So that's Angela's son, William. I got to ask, as a parent, why did you want to put young William into this bike series, Angela?
I just really wanted to promote activity and being active, but in a fun way. So this community is so encouraging. They have so much fun. Everyone's so supportive, and it's been such a great experience for all of us.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. I just threw that upon her at the last minute. As you can see, we got some young cyclists here getting ready to take off in the race. You really wanted to be on CBC, so say hi.
Hi.
You too?
Hi.
Here we go. We got a lot of people saying hi. Danny, we're just going to back up this bus here. A lot of activity here, a lot of moving parts. But we're just going to join our the two pre-planned guests. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
This is Rob from Bicycle NL, and this is Don Clark. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing well.
Don is with the Outfitters. Rob, what is happening here today?
So this is the St. John's Short Track Series. It's a set of mountain bike races for kids of all ages. From, I think the youngest is 3 and the oldest is like 63. And it's short form mountain biking. So 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps. The longest race is half an hour, and it's just go as hard as you can and have fun.
So how long has this been going on? Is this the 4th week, and how long does it run for this year?
This is the 4th week, and there's 1 more week, so 5 total, and it's a cumulative score, so there's going to be prizes at the end of the whole thing. And the Short Track Series actually started back in 2016 with a little bit of a hiatus around 2020 for some reason, but we brought it back last fall, and we're here in full form again.
Now, there's a lot of eager young cyclists behind you and on the course. How many people register for an event like this, Ron?
So tonight we had 70 registered, same last week. And I think there were something like 80 or 90 individual registrants over the full series. So
what does this mean for trying to grow cycling in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador?
It's huge. So this is the Canada Games year. We've got a team competing in the Canada Games, and this team wouldn't be competing in the Canada Games if they didn't have bike races when they were a lot younger. So hopefully this is going to inspire the next generation of young athletes to compete, but also just to have fun cycling and to use it as a mode of transportation and grow cycling in general.
Appreciate that, Rob. Thanks so much. We're going to bring in Don from the Outfitters. You can see they got their banner there. Don, here come some riders. Can we catch them? Look at them go. Look at them go. Whoa, photo finish. Man, oh man, what the action. Don, why did the Outfitters want to get involved in an event like this?
Well, everything we do is about helping grow, support the community, and getting people outdoors, enjoying outdoors, and staying outdoors longer. And with something like this, where we can start and find that passion for kids to be active and outside at a young age, it only helps to grow the community, and like Rob said, give them that experience early on, and that's something they can take with them.
So is this sort of something where all the bike community comes together to help out?
Yeah, certainly. Like I work with the Outfitters, Rob works with Canary, and we have BNL, we have everybody coming together from all different walks, ages and abilities, and it's pretty cool just to be here and celebrate everyone getting their own personal accomplishments.
And runs 1 more week. What are you looking most forward to, Rob? Dom?
The annual tradition is a whole bunch of hot dog grilling for everybody, and I kind of enjoy that chaos, so I'm looking forward to the hot dogs.
All right, I apologize, Julie, but my phone has died, so I'm hoping that we're on track. My name is Jeremy Eaton. I'm reporting live here in Pippi Park for some mountain bike racing.
Welcome back to Here and Now. Excuse me. And Ashley, fire is really one of the things that we've been talking a lot about this spring already. And you've got a little bit of information about possibly yet another one. What can you tell us?
Yeah, so a couple of videos going around on social media of potential, well, it's clearly a fire, but potential wildfire burning just south of Badger on the Buckins Highway. Chris shared this one on social media, and likely, well, it sparked this afternoon, but just take a look at the fire hazard map. So in that area right now, anywhere from very high to extreme fire weather, we're starting to see some less fire weather, or less fire hazard rather, risk, low to moderate up across Labrador. But that area in particular through Central seeing very high and extreme. So we did see some lightning go through earlier today. Now this is unconfirmed that that's how this fire started, but certainly a good chance. As you can see, even the power went out in Grand Falls, Windsor earlier today as well because of some lightning strikes. But the good news is that that has moved off now, or at least the risk of some lightning has moved off. But certainly going to keep an eye on that situation for you on that fire burning. Now, if we take a look at the temperatures right now, they did drop a little bit after the storms rolled through, down to the upper teens, low 20s now for Central, and pretty much anywhere between 14 to 16 degrees for southern areas of the island. A little cooler though for those of you in the southern Avalon. And then for Labrador towards the coast, temperatures sitting in the single digits, and then between 17 to 19, well 15 to 19 for the rest of Labrador. And we are going to see a fairly quiet night tonight. Those showers, the lightning has ended, but the showers are still moving through, making their way towards the Bonavista Peninsula in the next hour or so. And then we should see the shower chances end as we head through the next couple of hours. And then clearing skies will be the story. Now, very different story, though, for those of you in Lab West. Again, much needed rain moving in. This will be the story through the overnight tonight, head towards the central areas of Labrador by the time we get into the early morning hours tomorrow. And temperatures are going to stay in the single digits for the majority of the Big Land, except around Lab City. You should hover around 11 degrees overnight tonight. Northern Peninsula, southern areas of the island also in the single digits, and then between 10 to 13 degrees from the Avalon through to the west coast. And east, at least the Avalon, is going to stay quite breezy tonight. Southwesters will be gusting anywhere from about 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. Now, as we head into tomorrow, these showers will work their way towards central Labrador and then eventually towards the coast. Some of these will be fairly heavy at times, so keep that in mind. And there's also the risk in the afternoon that some of these showers, we may even see some lightning with that, particularly late afternoon, early evening. So this is where the risk tomorrow will be. Now, there's a slight chance that you'll hear a few rumbles of thunder in Lab West in the morning, but the biggest risk will be for central Labrador into the afternoon tomorrow. It's also going to be fairly breezy. Most of you across the Big Land, as this area of low pressure moves through, are going to see winds gusting between 40 to as much as 60 kilometers per hour. Now, they'll be easterly for the north coast, but they'll be southwesterly for the rest of the of Labrador. And if you do see some thunderstorms develop, you could be seeing those gusts even higher, 70, maybe even to 80 kilometers per hour tomorrow. So it will be breezy. Across the island, generally just looking at cloudy, sun and cloud through the day. A few showers certainly possible as we head towards the evening and overnight for the northern peninsula, west coast, and even through central. You may see a few pop-up afternoon showers, but the main event of those showers will move through by the time we get into Thursday morning. Temperatures tomorrow will sit in the low 20s for most. Again, cooler in onshore flow. And again, those winds will be breezy tomorrow. Southwesterlies between 40 to as much as 50 kilometers per hour. And then for Labrador, overall your temperatures are going to start to warm up. We're talking about upper teens, low 20s. With the exception of the north coast, you'll hang out again still in the single digits. But again, breezy winds. That's really the story tomorrow, along with that potential for some thunderstorms anywhere, like I said, 50 to 60. 60 to 80 for those thunderstorms. So let's look at your Wednesday forecast. There is more rain in the forecast Thursday, Friday, and a big drop in temperatures on Saturday. I'll get into all of that a little later.
100 years ago, women in Newfoundland and Labrador earned the right to vote. Tomorrow here in Bannerman Park, a statue commemorating the woman who led the charge is going to be unveiled. We're joined by Jen Dion with Persistence Theatre. So Jen, you've been really involved in making this happen. Tell us about this statue.
We've been running the Raise Her Up campaign for many years to raise enough money to do this, and it's pretty exciting that we're finally on the precipice of the finale of so much work and so much communication about telling people who Armine was and why it's important that she's the first statue to a singular named woman in the city of St. John's.
Tell us a little bit about the statue.
The statue is cast in bronze by artist Sheila Coltis. She is reaching out with her petition for you to sign up to put your name that you believe in Votes for Women too.
How do you feel now that it's almost here, it's almost unveiled after all of this hard work? Because I know you've been at this for years.
I feel in a bit of stasis right now because we are just so close and all the details are still coming together. So I feel like I'm really just still holding my breath. I'm going to let it go tomorrow about 5 o'clock.
Wonderful. We're also joined by Dr. Margot Dooley, and you're a historian. Margot, can you tell us a little bit about Armine Nutting Gosling? She's the woman who is this statue.
I'd be delighted to. It's really due to her very savvy leadership that we have the vote. And the way she did this was very inspirational speeches, but also she and the suffragists who worked with her launched a campaign, a petition campaign that was signed by 20,000 women. Now just think about this. In the 1920s, with minimal communications, having to go around by boat in many instances to outports, there were only something like 28 towns with a telephone, so you couldn't follow up and say, what are you doing? But she pulled it off, and it was the largest petition campaign in Newfoundland's history as of that date. Very savvy and committed woman. But suffrage was only part of her achievement. She was also the heart and soul of a number of other movements, the child welfare movement, sports for women. I could go on and on.
Margot, why is it important to commemorate Armine Nutting Gosling 100 years later, and why is her work still important today?
Well, she raised so many issues that are still relevant. Sometimes it's a little discouraging. One of the issues she raised was equal pay for equal work, and we're still debating this. She raised issues of violence against women, the construction of juries, employment opportunities, expanded education. But one of the things she kept arguing is not just an issue of women's rights. She really hoped that Votes for Women would improve society in general. She's part of a generation that's gone through this wrenching World War I, and she's hopeful that Votes for Women will prevent another catastrophe.
So we're also joined by a family member, Michael Keegan. Tell us a little bit about your relationship to Armine Nutting Gosling.
So Armine is my great-grandmother. Obviously we never met because she died in 1942, but I did know her daughter, who was also called Armine and was my grandmother and lived in Bermuda, and I've got a very clear memory of her. And she grew up in Newfoundland and was actually an ambulance driver during the First World War.
So what do you think of this statue and a member of your family being involved in women in this now province getting the right to vote?
I think it makes me extremely proud to think that a member of my family played such an important part in getting women their full role and importance in our society and participation. And I'm deeply grateful and honoured to be asked by Jen and by Margot to be joining you at the ceremony tomorrow.
Speaking of that ceremony now, Jen, tell us a little bit about what will happen tomorrow and what people can expect.
Well, we're having a big celebration, so we're putting on a free concert starting at noon right here in the park. The Bannerman Park Canteen will be open with the Ukrainians serving up all kinds of good food. So you can come with your chair or your blanket, sit here in the park, enjoy the free concert. Then we're going to transition into the formal ceremonial part, which will also have some speeches and some reflections shared by people about the importance of the day. Then we're finally going to unveil her, and she'll be wearing a much nicer little something tomorrow, and we'll show everybody what all the fuss is about.
Okay, Margot, Michael, Jen, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you.
2, 1.
Okay, well, you are now looking at a live shot of the St. John's short track. We see lots of bikers taking off on their race there, where they tear up this track once a week, sometimes on the hill below the Confederation building, but tonight they're in Pippi Park. We'll have more from tonight's race. That is still to come a little later on Here and Now. Welcome back. Some artists in the province are upset about artificial intelligence being used to make local art. They say more and more people are using AI instead of hiring a real human artist, and they're concerned it's going to take money out of artists' pockets. The CBC's Abby Cole has that story.
Artists say they are seeing more and more images generated with artificial intelligence, including this orange store advertisement, which was created with AI.
I'm seeing it be used for show posters, for, I guess, any kind of advertisement for local breweries and local businesses and stuff like that. And people think it's not directly taking money from artists because they're just doing it for a little bit of advertising. But what they would have done before is actually get a local artist to make it, so I think it is directly ripping off.
Bishop is now asking that people think twice before using AI art. She designed anti-AI posters encouraging support for local artists and put them up around the city.
It directly learns off of stealing art or art that has not given consent to use. So every time I post on Instagram, my art is feeding into an AI algorithm, and I can't stop that, unfortunately. And that's exactly why I think it's unethical. People use AI art to directly mimic people's known art styles, and no money goes towards that actual artist.
AI art is also being used widely across social media, including a recent trend where people recreate images in the style of Studio Ghibli.
That is a very specific art style. It is very specific to that studio, and the use of it, not in the way that the creator imagined it or consented to it to be used. That sparks the question of, is this a violation of intellectual property?
Fitzgerald is the director of Iceberg Gallery, a nonprofit that helps emerging artists find opportunities in the province. She also believes AI is a threat to those opportunities.
Every time that someone uses an image generation model to create something, or generate something rather, that's an opportunity that an artist could have had to, have a commission in their portfolio or build upon a skill. Those are those key opportunities that these emerging artists are kind of counting on to really push themselves forward in the industry.
Bishop and Fitzgerald think that there should be regulations. They think AI models should ask for artist consent, or they should be provided compensation. Abby Cole, CBC News, St. John's.
Okay, so we're going to head back to Pippi Park now and check in on the St. John's short track series, where we saw those bikers take off just a few moments ago, and that's where our Jeremy Eaton is tonight. And Jeremy, we see you're not behind the wheel. You're not on a bike, but can you tell us how things are going there with the races with the kids that we just saw a little earlier?
It's pretty lively. We've seen children as young as 4 on their balance bikes coming on, and now we're a little bit of older kids. But this is the Canada Games year, so I've found this is the Canada Games team, if Danny doesn't mind. Some of them are telling their friends to text their grandmothers so they can watch them on the local news. But this is part of the Canada Games team, and they are led by this man over here, John. John, what's your last name?
Hancock.
John Hancock, you're the head coach of the Canada Games team. So how's the team looking, Coach?
The team's looking fantastic. They put a lot of hard work in over the last 24 months. They've raced events both here in the province and across Atlantic to get the experience. They've been training extensively on this new course, which is a fantastic facility, both for the athletes, for Canada Games, but also as a legacy piece as well.
Could you talk about that, John? This is a new trail that is built, correct? Could you talk a little bit about that aspect?
Yeah, this is a completely new trail. It's obviously, these are model-use trails, but they've been worked on to provide a cross-country cycling course. We've never had this type of course here in the province, so both for the games and for the future there can be more races like this, there can be more introduction to the sport, and obviously for the next cycle of the games after St. John's.
Is there any added pressure on these young folks next to me and the other ones who live in other communities outside of St. John's of them doing well because we are the hosts?
All the athletes we know are going to do personal bests. This is a developing sport in the province. We have some pretty tough competition from BC and Ontario, as you might imagine, but they have the home advantage. It might be nice if it rains and gets really muddy because they're pretty good at riding in those conditions. But we're very confident of their performance. And which is also to say, we have some female athletes. We've never had a female MTB team in the Canada Games in recent years. So we have athletes from Central, and we also have an athlete out from West Coast as well. And they're going to come in for the selection event on Saturday and obviously Canada Games in August.
So with this being a growing sport, how important are events like this one that we're at today to help grow the sport? Like seeing those young little kids there on the pedal bikes, push bikes, balance bikes. How important are events like this to growing the sport, John?
These events, these grassroots events, are incredibly important for getting people enthused about the sport, being able to ride their bikes in a safe place, with their friends, the sense of competition, and then hopefully then continuing through into their teens and then into the development years in terms of long-term athlete development so they can go to the next Canada Games.
John, I appreciate you. You got thrown under the bus. Assistant coach Nick wasn't going to do it. Now talk to a few of the young. What's your name?
Connor Kerrigan.
Connor Kerrigan, where are you from, bud?
I'm from St. John's, Newfoundland.
How long have you been riding a mountain bike?
Probably like 8 years.
How excited are you to go to your first ever Canada Games and it be in your hometown as well?
I'm super excited. I can't wait. I've been training super hard, so I'm looking forward to it.
And what's your name, young man?
Rory Green.
Rory, how excited are you to get the Canada Games underway?
Pretty excited.
Pretty excited?
Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to about the games here in St. John's?
Having the home team advantage, being able to get used to the course.
Now they're all so nice. I said they're all so nice. I said who's the fastest, and they all said that they're about the same. But who has the best hair? Can we see it? Can we see it? I'm putting you on the spot. Oh man, it's an amazing set of hair.
Give it a shake, Austin.
So that's Austin right here. This is the Canada Games team, folks. Coming up, reporting live from Pippy Park. I'm Jeremy Eaton in St. John's.
While some Canadians worry what more visitors could mean for fragile ecosystems in our national parks. As we reported last night, Ottawa has unveiled the Canada Strong Pass. It's to promote domestic tourism this summer. It offers families free or discounted rates to natural and cultural attractions across the country. David Thurton reports.
Canada's national parks offer stunning views, but at a cost. Just in time for summer, the federal government is lifting those fees, introducing what the minister calls the Canada Strong Pass.
There's no need to register or get physical pass. Just plan your trip as you normally would, show up and enjoy the free access and discounts at participating locations.
Starting Friday and for the rest of the summer, the federal government is offering free admission to federal historic sites, parks, and marine conservation areas, and a 25% discount on Parks Canada camping fees. National museums are also free to anyone 17 and under.
So get there and explore Canada's national treasures, discover new places, enjoy unforgettable experiences, live your own Canadian adventure.
The announcement comes as travelers opt for staycations.
Absolutely, we decided we'd stay in Canada this year. We won't go to the United States.
It's definitely well timed with the heightened sense of patriotism that we have right now.
But there are concerns about the influx of tourists and the impact they could have on the fragile ecosystems.
They should probably put like a limiter in terms of like how many people could enter, because people really do love free things.
Visits to some national parks have been increasing. With that comes increased vehicle traffic and wildlife encounters.
Because we've seen so many more people wanting to get out into nature, the park system that we have has been under stress.
But limiting access isn't the answer, according to this advocate.
It's important that, we don't look at that and say, well, we need fewer people in the parks. It's not that we need fewer people going to out into nature. It's that we need more nature for them to go out into.
The government is giving Canadians other opportunities to see the country, like by train. Via Rail is offering free passenger travel for those 17 and under once they're accompanied by a grown-up, and also discounted travel for young people. David Thurton, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, Canada has promised $4.3 billion in new support for embattled Ukraine. Prime Minister Mark Carney made the announcement at the G7 summit today. He also condemned Russia's deadly missile attack and drone attack on Kyiv.
This underscores the importance
of standing in total solidarity with Ukraine, with the Ukrainian people. And we had a discussion last night amongst G7 leaders. The President and I will discuss more.
Carney met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the summit. About half of the amount of Canada's donation will go towards weapons and items such as drones, ammunition, and armored vehicles. The other half will be there to help Ukraine rebuild infrastructure that has been shattered by the war. Canada also announced new sanctions targeting Russia's energy revenue and hundreds of vessels in its shadow fleet. Those vessels move around oil, liquefied natural gas, weapons, and other items. Welcome back to Here and Now. And Ashley, we have an update on that fire that we were speaking about earlier near Badger. What can you tell us?
Yeah, we've spoken to Vince McKenzie, the Grand Falls Windsor Fire Department, and he tells us that the fire is about 3 kilometers southwest of the community and it's burning east of the Exploits River. And they first got the call around 4 p.m. That's about 15 minutes after much of the area lost some power due to lightning, which makes the department think that this fire could be weather related anticipated as well. And another note, there are 2 water bombers en route from Gander.
Okay, and I think we've got a little bit of water in the forecast.
Yes.
As well. Could that help?
Well, certainly could, especially as we head through later in the week. That's when we'll see the best chance of some showers. And so it should help with the fire risk going forward, at least for a little while. Let's take a look at what's going on. It is going to be the shower chances through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Quickly, that will move through. And then Thursday afternoon is actually looking fairly dry. So it isn't a whole lot of rain, but it's a little bit. And then we'll see a few showers move through for Labrador as well into the evening hours through the day, and then more showers later on. But temperatures are still going to stay up. We're looking at daytime highs in the low to mid 20s for most. Again, onshore flow for the south coast, keeping things a little on the cool side. And then for Labrador, between 11 to 13 degrees for the north coast and Lab West. Otherwise, your temperatures will be in the 20s with the exception of along the Strait. You're in onshore flow as well, so your temperatures will be cool. The other thing to note, starting Thursday, is we will see a little bit of return of some muggy weather, and that will happen late Wednesday into Thursday afternoon and likely sticking around through the first part of Friday as well. So it will feel a little sticky, almost humid, certainly, by the time we get into Thursday and Friday. But that will drop off Saturday because that is when we are going to see a significant drop in temperatures. At least that's what it looks like for now. So as we head into Friday, we'll see another round of showers. This one looks a little bit more intense or a little bit more substantial, I should say, for the southeastern portion of Labrador. Again, depending on the track, it looks like most of the rain will stay to Labrador, but we'll see a few showers in and around the island portion of the province. And temperatures, again, are going to stay in the upper teens, low 20s, and that humidity will stick around for a little while as well. Overall, we're looking at daytime highs around 12 degrees for Nain and between 10 to 17 degrees for the rest of the Big Land. Now, the temperature drop comes Saturday, 10 degrees. So that is fairly significant from Friday. And some showers will stick around by Sunday, just some cloudy periods, and overall your temperatures will rebound quite nicely. Should be hovering around 18 degrees with our overnight lows around 10 by the time we get there. Now for Central, you're looking at rain Friday, Saturday. Sunday, some sunshine, but more rain will move in by the time we get into Sunday night. And your temperatures will be a little bit of a roller coaster as well, dipping down to 10 degrees, 12 for western Newfoundland, then rebounding to 20 by the time we get into Sunday. For Labrador, overall, your temperatures will be somewhere between 17 and 22 degrees. And then for western Labrador, a little cooler by the time we get into Sunday with some showers. Our weather photo of the day taken in Labrador, Triangle, Labrador to be exact. I had to look that one up. I had no idea where that was, but this iceberg off the Labrador coast there. Thank you so much for that photo. And if you have any weather photos you'd like to share with us, we'd love to see them. You can send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
A triangle iceberg in Triangle.
There you go.
Look at that. Thank you for that picture.
Pretty cool.
It's very cool and it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that is our show for this evening. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Good night.
Good night.